Hey guys, welcome back to the Unaccompanied Millennials podcast. I'm Morgan.
And I'm Alanah, and this is our first episode in our mini-series, The Evolution of Us, where we discuss the ever-changing things that made us who we are today. These episodes are going to be topics that are a bit more serious in nature and give you a true understanding of who we really are.
I am super excited about our topic. Today we'll be talking about mindset and how a simple shift in perspective can change everything.
No, I miss getting my nails done and pedicures, tanning, getting my hair done. I think I told you yesterday that I contemplated cutting my hair 3 times, and then I did. I proceeded to then cut my hair with, what are they called? Oh, eyebrow scissors.
Oh, great.
The little tiny ones.
Oh my gosh.
Have you seen the TikToks where they're sitting and they're thinking about it and they keep putting the scissors to their hair and they're like, no, oh, maybe, oh, no, oh, maybe. They're contemplating the thought of just cutting all their hair off. That was me last night sitting on the couch.
No.
And then I thought, oh, maybe I should just get a box of hair dye. And then the angel and the devil came on my shoulders, and the angel said, Alanah, 3 years ago you did this and you promised yourself you'd never do this again. And then the devil was like, but it's quarantine. No one will see you if it looks bad.
Oh God,
Just try it. You need something new. So it was interesting. I then proceeded to cut off about 1.5 inches of my hair. I hope it's even. I don't know. I'm too nervous to look anymore.
They'll fix it after quarantine. Don't worry.
I'm gonna have to go to my hairdresser and just apologize.
I can't wait. I just want to get my balayage done. I need more blonde in my hair. For those of you that can't see me yet, I am like a dark brunette. I love my hair. I'm a Leo. My hair is my main. Obsessed with it. But last year I bought a nice balayage, and there was blonde through it, and it was just beautiful. The most beautiful hair I've ever seen in my life. And it's fading. It's like pretty much grown out, and it's not what I want. And I miss the blonde. And I was literally probably about a day away from making an appointment at Salon Style and Lush in North Bay. And then the quarantine fucking happened. So that's great.
I know. I thought, should I just get my hair done so then I'm okay? Should I get I thought about getting all of it done. Then I was like, I can survive. It's fine. I'll just get it. It'll only be 2-3 weeks. Nothing. I was naive.
You were naive.
Dumb.
Wow.
So that's fine. Oh well, I learned next time there's a pandemic, I'll make sure to beautify myself.
Exactly.
Every single thing I would possibly need. I'll get a belly button piercing, get everything I could possibly go clothes shopping, get everything I would need for 10 months. Clothes wise and
oh God. Now we know. All right, are we ready to jump into our topic?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
So just a little disclaimer that we're not experts and we are not mindset or lifestyle coaches.
Everything that we're talking about today are things that I have learned from many amazing women. So these points have resonated with me and aligned with me. I'm telling my story and explaining my experiences and how the things worked for me personally. But again, we're not experts. This is just our opinion.
Yeah. Everything that I've learned was from me debating my life on a plane for 8 hours, trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with me. So I don't have as much access to information as Morgan does because she does training and does a few classes and courses on this and has more relationships with people who are experts on mindset and things like that. I just kind of go off of things that I've figured out that have worked for me because I've just by trial and error.
Yeah, you have a lot of experience. And
I more of just throw myself in. Yeah, I just throw myself in situations. I'm like, does this work? No. Okay. Does this work?
Trial
no. Okay. It's trial and error.
Failure is the best way to learn.
Yeah, and the worst.
No, literally, it's the best way.
It's the best way to learn, but it just sucks at that time.
But yeah, failure. But that's one thing.
You'll never learn without it, though.
That's one thing that I've learned how to change my perspective on, because if you never fail, then you've never gotten up from a situation and became stronger. So.
No, I agree.
All right, guys. So our topic today is mindset, and we're just gonna briefly talk about it. We'll tell some stories, and yeah, let's get into it. So what does mindset mean to you?
Quite a few things for me. I think the choices you make on a daily basis. So every second you're faced with multiple choices on what path you're going to take on things. And I think mindset is being able, it could be good or bad. Like people have good mindsets or bad mindsets. So it's the whichever option you choose based on how you feel or think at that time, and how you deal with your feelings and which choices you make because of how you feel.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Exactly.
yeah. And also kind of how you compose yourself and deal with all that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's a lot of how you talk to yourself on a deeper level. It's how you talk to yourself, how you see the world, and the way that you experience things. It's your
Mm-hmm.
perspective and your emotions. It's everything that is you. But
Mm-hmm.
mostly, I think it's your self-talk and how you talk to yourself and how you allow yourself to see the world, because there's a lot of things that can change your perspective in the world. And if you let that
Mm-hmm.
negativity kind of get to you and mold your mindset, then you've lost already.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing that I want to kind of look over before we get into it is perspective. So my perspective before was super negative. I was a really negative person all the way throughout high school. I hate this, I hate that. Why is this happening to me? Why, like, I didn't have a bad life
I still
whatsoever.
say that all the time. Why is this happening?
Yeah,
Just as more of a joking like thing to
but
say, but
like even in a joke, like if
mm-hmm.
you're saying it, it's in your mind, and then you put that
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
out into the universe and bad things.
Yeah.
So perspective, it's not happening to you. Everything is happening for you. Everything you do is leading you to where you want to be. Everything is leading you towards your goal. So
Mm-hmm. That's true. I think that everything happens for a reason. I know that's kind of like a cliche thing to say, but how many times have you thought of something or thought of someone or thought of this or that, and then it's happened, or you thought of this topic and then boom, you see it on TV, or just, I think things are constantly pushing you towards a certain way.
the
And you just
universe.
have, yeah. And even though little things are going to happen, bumps on the way, and like things are going to happen that are bad, like last year was crazy shitty year for me. Just every single, I felt like I couldn't catch a break. Every month something crazy was happening.
Mhm.
My cat broke his leg, and then things just kept, and then that was the beginning of my year, and then things just kept getting worse and worse and worse, which I will touch on later. I think it's those hurdles make you more happy at the end because you know you got through it, and the good things are still there. You just haven't reached them yet, or you are reaching them. It's just those bad bumps don't define who you are. The way you react to them and the way you deal with them kind of defines who you are. I don't know.
Exactly, for sure.
But I definitely think that good things are meant to happen if you put like your mind to it, and everything you actually want to achieve, you can achieve. You just have to go through all the bumps, and everyone else is going through bumps too. You're not the only one. I think that it took me a bit to learn. I thought like when I was younger, kind of like you said, situations weren't always the best for me, but at the same time, like I didn't have it as rough as a lot of other people did at all.
Hmm.
I still had a good childhood and stuff. I was just kind of getting on the mindset when you're little that you think everything's happening to you and everything's bad and everyone's against you, and that you're the only one going through things because you don't know how to communicate at that age and stuff like that. So
Hmm.
it's nice to kind of understand that. And I think the virus and everything going on right now, it really does prove that the same feelings I'm feeling, a lot of other people are feeling.
Hmm.
So even though you don't know what people going on, like what they're going on in their lives and stuff, when they're going through something like you, they're having the same feelings as you for the most part. Everyone acts and does things differently, but
Yeah,
I think people don't realize that a lot of people can relate to them.
that's right. And everybody, the way you react to different emotions is
That's the biggest thing I think is
individual as
how you
well.
react. Yeah, how you react to every situation defines who you are, I believe.
I think it's interesting that we're both talking about the same like mindset and everything like that, because like I said, I didn't have a hard life and I didn't really have many hurdles to overcome
Mm-hmm.
until, like, I wouldn't even say I've had that many hurdles in life. And you might be thinking, oh, Morgan, like, how can you be kind of trying to guide us through with mindset if you haven't experienced any hardships or blah, blah, blah. But all these things have worked for Alanah too. And Alana's gone,
Mm-hmm.
had a little bit more hurdles in her life than I have. So It's something like you just change your mindset, and it sounds easy. Like it's easier for me to say than it is to do, but I've done the work and I've changed the way I talk to myself, and I found that helped a lot. So
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that you haven't dealt with your fair share of shitty things and things that have happened to you. They just have been different things.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Being in your own head and having issues with yourself and being hard on yourself and different things that go around like that, like you said, your negativity and all that stuff, obviously came from somewhere and something.
So I want to talk about how a shift in mindset can change the way that you live your life in general. And I want to talk about what this has taught me and everything like that. The overall takeaway of this little chat is going to be that the change in mindset has taught me that sometimes you just have to stop and take a breath. Sometimes life's happening so fast you don't have a chance to stop in that moment and take a breath, but you do have time to look back on that and kind of assess, like debrief on what happened, how you were feeling, why you were feeling that way, and what you could do differently. Like I was saying, I used to be a very negative and stressed out person, hating everything, just so angry all the time. I was always in a rush, always felt like I didn't have enough time to do anything. And that was me up until my first year of university is when I went to my first like therapy session, first and only really. But I went and she told me, you need to change your mindset. So when you get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of class, nobody's thinking about that. Nobody's observing you or nobody's judging you. And she just told me, you need to change your mindset on that because you are stressing about stuff that isn't even happening in other people's brains. This is just what's happening in your head.
I would hold my pee.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even, because I'd be so stressed of getting up.
Me, the worst, coughing in class.
Oh, yeah.
It stressed me out so much, and I would just sit there and like turn purple rather than cough.
Oh, so when I was in elementary school, we'd always have to go to church because I went to Catholic. I was in the Catholic school board. So one time we're in church, it's like a hot day. So I have asthma. Sometimes I get like little tickles in my throat if I get a little too overheated. So it's like a hot summer day. We walk there. I was fine. We sit down and like right in the middle of the priest doing the speech, walking down these aisles, I could feel the tickle.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm like trying to like repress it and hold it in, and I couldn't. So who has a huge coughing attack right in the middle of church? And I'm not a religious person, but it was just awkward because there's hundreds of people there. So I felt like super awkward. And then where do you go? Like I'm in the middle of the pew, so like I can't like I'm gonna like make a scene, walk charging out of there.
Oh
so
my
I
God.
was suffocating.
The worst nightmare.
I was so embarrassed. So now I had this huge fear, especially when I'm serving. I always have coughing attacks when I was serving.
Yes.
If I had like a tiny bit of a cold and not enough where you can call in, that makes me have the tickle, and then I have to cough, and I'm sitting there at a table, wide-eyed, they're watering because I feel the tickle, and the guest asked me, "What kind of dressings do you have?" or something like that, and I'm like, "Balsamic." I would have been like just dying, just wishing they would just finish. And then I've had to, on 2 occasions, walk away from my table, and I would just go home when I used to serve.
Oh my God.
Oh, so embarrassing. So embarrassing.
I know. Yeah. So I would always go through that, and it was just always in my head. Like people think this, people think that, stress, don't want to get up, not this, nope, not doing it. So it's that one meeting, and she challenged me to change my mindset. Whenever I start thinking anything negative or something that spirals, just change it to something positive. So I started doing that, and I was about, I don't even know how old I would have been in first year university, 19. I was 19 at the time. So this is something that I've practiced. It's really helped me. This is something I've practiced throughout my life. I realize how positive of a person I am and how grateful I am for that one brief description of mindset and how it could change your life. It actually did change my life. So at 25, here I am, 25 years old. I have a job that I enjoy in Ontario Parks. I'm a park warden. And this is such a big success for me because my whole life I felt like I needed to do one thing. I went to school for corrections. I got a criminal justice degree. And that's what I believed that I had to do. That's what my path was. Because I got that degree, I needed to be a correctional officer, a cop, something. So when I first got out of university, I applied to be a correctional officer. And for 4 years, that's what I was going to be. Right out of school, get my correctional officer job and live my life happy. 8 months into this process, because the federal government it's a long process is to apply for anything. I get to the 5th of 7 levels of hiring, which at this point, after you get by stage 4, you assume that you're in this job. You assume that you're going to get it, and the rest is just technicalities. I didn't get it. So my mom is also into mindset and stuff like that. So it was me and her talking, well, it wasn't the time. The universe has something else planned for you. And I believe that. So throughout the next year and a half, I applied for policing jobs, other sort of law enforcement jobs, so border security, military police. I never wanted to be in the military ever. I never wanted to be a police officer even. People would ask me, oh, do you want to be a cop? No, I don't want to chase anybody. Like, that's not my passion. But neither was corrections. What was I going to do? Sit in a jail for 12 to 16-hour shifts? And like, I would be miserable.
Get harassed.
So that happened for me. My failure of failing corrections, that process to get into that job that I thought I wanted, that saved me from not doing that. That was my first real failure in my life. And I took it pretty well because it was happening for me, not to me. But now
that's
after,
a good way to look at it.
Yeah. And that's how I've always looked at it. Oh, it wasn't the right time. Okay. So I started applying for all these other jobs. And I think I didn't get any of these jobs because I was self-sabotaging in my head. I knew I didn't want any of these positions. So I didn't push myself for them. For example, for one, I had an interview with Canada Border Services. And I went out the night before to a work party, got so wasted, and I was so hungover the next day.
Yeah.
Like, he picked me up from that party.
Oh,
I
yeah.
had the interview at 10 a.m. in Sudbury, which is an hour and a half drive from North Bay, for the people that don't know. Oh my goodness. It was like I was so hungover for that interview. Of course I didn't get that.
I know. I remember telling you, I was like, I'll pick you up. You have an interview in the morning. And I remember waiting for you outside, trying to get you into the car. I remember calling you, and you're in the bar still, and you answered. You're like, hello? And I was like, hi, I'm here. And you're like, okay, cool. And then just nothing. And I was like, what? And I called, no answer, called, no answer. Some guy comes out. I'm like, hi, like, is Morgan in there? And he was like, oh yeah, she's cleaning up. I'm like, is she drunk? Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Oh.
It was funny though. Yeah, I can see how that would cause you to not get the job.
Yeah.
Which means you didn't actually care enough about it, because you wouldn't have done that if you actually really cared.
Exactly. I was sabotaging it. And even though I thought that I wanted that at that time, really, that's not something that I would enjoy. So in about a year and a half, I got rejected from, I think, 7 law enforcement jobs.
Okay.
And then finally a parks position, so Ontario Parks park warden position, pops up, and I apply for that. The more I looked into it, the more it looked like something I wanted to do. It's all the best things. I love telling people not what to do. I love enforcing the rules. I love making sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing. And I love the outdoors. So this was the perfect gig for me. So back to failure and mindset. I went through my hiring process for my Ontario Parks position, made it to the last. I got to the last thing. I got the phone interview. They said I did great. They were very impressed. And they called me back a week later when they said they were going to, and I didn't get the job. They didn't have a position for me. And at first I was so upset because I knew I was the right fit for it. I knew that this job was something that I would excel at. But I didn't get it. They didn't have a position. So I just accepted it And for the first time in my life, I had no direction. I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't sure what I was going to do. It was for about a 2-week period, 2 or 3 weeks. And I was looking up how to get a visa to go work in Ireland. I was going to go work there, serve. But when I was looking at that, I determined that I Googled jobs that Canadians can do in Ireland. And I got a hiking tour guide. And that's
Mm-hmm.
the job I was going to apply for. But then it was 2 days later, I had told my mom that I'm thinking about getting this visa to go work in Ireland for a year, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be a tour guide in the
Mm-hmm.
mountains or the hills of Ireland, and I'm super excited about it. We were having dinner, my whole family, and my sister asked me, "So what are you going to do with your career?" And I said, "I don't know. I really have no direction in life right now. I'm just seeing what's happening." And my sister thought that was sad, but I was excited about it because it's an adventure.
That, and you just, there's so, like, every door's open, like you had
Exactly.
no constraint or like restrictions. It was, so you have so much ability to have ideas and innovate and think of something really cool.
Mhm.
It gives you time to be picky
Mhm.
and actually decide what you like, experiencing things. And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
was super excited about it, but it wasn't 2 hours later that I got a call from Ontario Parks, and they asked me if I wanted the position, and right away I said yes, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And John, my supervisor, he laughed at the time and he said, "You don't need to think about it." And I was, "Nope, not at all. This is what I want." And at that moment, I was like, "Yep, this is exactly the job that I need." And I
Mm-hmm.
still love it. It's been a year, and my job is postponed right now because of COVID-19, and it's disheartening. But I'm also very lucky to be working for Ontario Parks, who are taking care of their employees, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just left without a job. So I'm blessed in that sense. But so
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of a little brief description of how I got to where I am, and how my positive mindset just pushed me through. Because any other person, I think, especially in my field, would take all 8 of those rejections as a negative failure. They would
Mm-hmm.
probably just continue to work their part-time job and serve. And I know a lot of people that apply for policing don't get it the first time and they never try again. But nope, I tried for I
Mm-hmm.
don't even know how many different job opportunities, and I didn't get any of them until the right one came along. So everything
No,
happens for a
that's,
reason, and yeah.
no, that's a good way to look at it. Talking about everything happens for a reason. I think that in this crazy way right now too, this was the push we needed to get our podcast going. And
Yes.
the fact that you're here, and you have all this time for us to both get it done is
Hmm.
kind of like a blessing in disguise too, because it would have been really hard for us to get this done with you being in Kenora because of how far away you are and you don't have Wi-Fi. So
Yeah.
it would have been way, way difficult. I feel like the reception would have been really bad. So it would have been really hard to
Would
get
have
the
not
quality
been
we
good.
wanted. So I think that is kind of like a meant to be thing where I think we're being pushed in a direction, which is nice.
And it's really funny because if I think back to, like, remember when I texted you, what was it, last week or the week
Mm-hmm.
before, where I'm like, "Okay, we're starting our podcast. Like, here we go."
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
because I had that call with my cousin Sarah. She's a lifestyle coach, and she coaches people in mindset and business. And she runs a Facebook community called Forevermore. You guys should check it out. It's awesome, very inspiring. She deals with everything from weddings, mindset. She does
Mm-hmm.
it all. I was in her group dabbling. This was probably about a month or two ago, early March. I seen that she was running this masterclass, and it was 3 or 4 days packed full of these very inspirational women from fitness to mindset, emotions, and business. You were able to take whatever classes you wanted to look at. It was just them coming onto Facebook and posting a video, letting us know what they were all about. Naturally, I watched every single one of them and I took notes for every single one of them. And I learned a lot. But I had no idea that this is the start. Like, I had no idea that that was the start of my mindset journey and my just personal journey to get to here, this moment
Mm-hmm.
right now. And I'm not done growing. Like this is just the first stair of where I'm going to end up. But
Mm-hmm.
this master class, I was engaged in it, and Sarah saw that, so she referred me to her Thrive program.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a program where I learned how to take a step back and how to listen to what my heart and mind wanted, how to push away all the limiting beliefs, all the fears, and all of those nagging voices in your head that you think are you. All these voices in your head that are telling you you can't do something, that's not you saying that. That's something from your past holding on to you, holding onto your shoulders and trying to pull you back. I never realized that these
Mm-hmm.
voices in my head were working against me. I thought, oh, that's just how I am. Oh, I'm just never going to be that person that is able to teach, or that's able to help people, or start a business that I want to, or make a podcast. I never
Mm-hmm.
believed that that was something that I could do. But with this Thrive program, I was able to identify those limiting beliefs, identify those fears, and learn how to either push them to the side or tame them and acknowledge them and walk with them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See, for you saying that you didn't realize what was holding you back, for me, it was, I knew what was holding me back. Like, I remember vividly the things that were said to me or the things that had been done. I just couldn't figure out how to get past it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't show anyone that. It was really deep inside of me. I didn't really tell anyone about it, maybe a few people, but it was just like those little things that were inside of me that I just could not move past. And every day it affected me in its own way, or it just affected a certain aspect of my life where I just didn't even want to deal with it. And I just kept saying, I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it later. I'll deal with it later.
Yeah.
And I just never ended up dealing with it because I was just so,
You make excuses.
that, and I just felt, I don't know, it just put me in like a bad place, I guess, where I felt like I was eventually going to get through it. It just wasn't the time. And I just never made the time for me to actually work on it, even though I knew I wanted to and I knew what it was, and I just didn't know how to fix it. So instead of trying to figure it out, I would just be like, oh, I'll figure it out later. I'll do it later. I think the biggest ones in my life I've started to work on, like, I used to have extreme body issues and body image issues, eating issues, a bunch of stuff like that. And that was for about 2 years of my life, affected every single second of my life.
Yeah.
Even more than 2 years. My whole entire life it affected me, but it got really bad for 2 years where I wasn't eating anything. I go days without eating. Like,
I
it
remember
was just,
that.
I was really skinny at one point. Wasn't bulimic, but I would like force myself to throw up. I had body dysmorphia. It was just so bad
Mm-hmm.
for 2 years. And that one or two things that were said to me from when I was a kid just followed me right through. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse, where it was always on my mind, everything. And then I just, for 2 years or about a year and a half, 2 years, I just broke down and just had a really shitty time. And then I came out of it and started doing it better. Like, I started being more active and more healthy, and like biking, going to the gym and doing things like that, which then made me healthier and gain a bit, like, a more weight back and muscle and stuff like that. And just my overall mindset changed a lot. And then now it's kind of just trying to get back to just keeping that more healthy lifestyle and stuff. And I really have overcome all the mind and eating issues that I had, which is good. I feel like I think that was probably the biggest thing I've ever had to deal with in my life. And I wouldn't say overcome it fully, but it's something I don't think about every day, which is good.
Yeah.
So now my biggest thing is just maintaining it and being healthier and healthier and more healthy as I can, like the healthiest I can be, and just keep trying to improve and just keep trying to get to my goals, but in the healthiest way possible. So
Yeah, exactly.
mm-hmm.
And from
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's seen you from there to
To
here,
now,
you can
mm-hmm.
tell just from your overall like energy that you are a
Mm-hmm.
more confident, more energetic person. Like
I'm more confident
supposed
now
to
than I
be.
was then,
Oh,
for sure. And I was
100%.
skinnier then and everything. I might have looked a little bit better then, but I didn't look good at all at the same time because I was just so,
Yes.
yeah, it just wasn't good.
That I wouldn't compare my body issues to
Mm-hmm.
yours, because yours definitely had more deep-rooted issues. But like at one point, okay, I'm a tall, big bone person. I'm 5'11", and I'm at one point in my first year of university, I was 160 pounds. There's no way that's healthy. There's no way. Like, I was proud to be able to fit in my little sister's shirt, like a medium shirt. There's no ever in my life have I ever been able to fit in a medium shirt, that, or should have been. And I look at myself, I wouldn't consider myself healthy. I wouldn't consider myself more confident and or even happier. I would work out every day, every morning and every night, so that I could drink and binge eat all weekend. That's not healthy.
I remember that too. I remember the things you would make. You would only eat like beans,
Quinoa,
veggies, salsa. It was like
yeah,
the randomest, like lowest calorie things you could ever eat. And
honestly.
I was the same. Like I would sometimes I think some days I would eat absolutely nothing. I'd eat like a pack of peanut butter.
And that's not good. Like,
No, but back then I thought it was the most important thing I could do. I thought that it was the only thing, and I couldn't physically put anything into my mouth. I couldn't even eat something. Or if I did eat something, I would like run to the bathroom and throw it up, or I would eat something and make it look like I was eating in front of people, but that'd be the only thing I ate for like that whole entire day.
yeah, I remember that.
So,
Fuck, we were so young and naive and stuff. Fuck. Mind blowing.
But I'm kind of glad I went through it then, so I don't have to deal with it now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people haven't hit that point in their lives where they deal with the shittiest things that could happen. And I don't know, like there could be things that they're obviously going to continue to be shitty things that happen to me, but I feel like the things that happened to me earlier on in life have made me equipped to deal with the things that are going to happen. And I feel like a lot of people lack the tools or the experience, and it's not their fault, and it's a good thing. Like I kind of wish I didn't have to deal with that stuff, but like I don't wish that on anyone or wish that on me or anything. But if I'm trying to look at it from a positive angle, at least I'm able to deal with things in the future.
Exactly.
And everyone will have their own tools to deal with things. But at least I've had to go through what I've gone through to understand who I am. And I feel like if I didn't go through that, or if I just kept going on the same path I was, I don't know, I wouldn't be here doing this right now. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
and like
even saying it on this for a platform of people, even if it's 2 people listening, is a big deal, because I went years without telling a single person that's how I was feeling.
Yeah.
So
that's a huge step, dude. Like that's next level for sure.
It affected my high school days, my elementary school, my family, me, how I saw myself even in front of my own family, my mom, everyone. Like it affected every single second.
That one thing that someone said to you when you were 6 or 8 affected your whole life,
my whole entire life.
You were able to identify it, label it, and remove it from your brain. It's just like a little monkey that's like sucking the energy out of you. Like it.
Oh, for sure.
You know,
it still affects me in some little aspects, and it always will, I think.
Yeah.
But I've 100%.
But you know how to
improve my way to deal with it and like change my mindset on that. I think that's definitely been the biggest thing I've ever had to tackle.
And it's just so amazing to me. And I was telling my coach, who is also my cousin, that obviously I didn't go into details, but I was saying that as I'm going through my mindset journey with Sarah, which is this Thrive program, and it's set out and it's in steps, and you do homework and you work through it. You were doing this all by yourself. Like you came back one day and you decided that you were changing your mindset on life.
Yeah, I think it happened slowly over a period of time where as I was getting more tired and more like sick and more, I felt like all my relationship with my friends, like all my friends are great. They like you and Julia and Brooklyn and Haley. Like there's so many, Sarah, like they're all so perfect, and they were always there for me, even if they were probably annoyed with me because the way I was acting, or if I wasn't messaging them back and things like that. I always kept friends around me that I knew would be there at the end of the day, even if I made a mistake or if I fucked up. But they were always there for me. And I think that was the biggest thing that helped as well. Also my family, like my aunt and uncle and everyone, my sisters and everybody. But I think it was a few times where I just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And I just realized what it was doing to me and like my friends. And I realized that I didn't want to be like that. Like it was affecting my school. It was affecting university. It was affecting everything, every single aspect of everything. Like
Honestly.
it was
And
affecting the way I would like perceive myself in front of people, the way I would even go to the mall or like Twigs or a coffee shop or for a walk. It's crazy how something can define your whole entire mind. It can take over your whole entire brain.
that's insane.
Every single thought, oh, they're looking at me. They don't want to talk to me because I'm fat, because I'm ugly, because I'm this, because I'm that. Like every single aspect of my day was taken up by how I felt, how I looked to people.
Yeah.
Now I look at it and I'm just sad that I ever let myself think like that. And I feel like I wasted, and I wish I could go back and redo those 20 years of my life that it took me to like 21 years to figure out that. And I wish I could talk to myself then I wish I could talk to myself when I was little and just say, hey, you don't need to see yourself this way. No one sees you this way but you, kind of thing.
Yeah. But that being said, then you wouldn't be who you are today without all of
exactly.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's awesome how you like, because that limiting belief turns into negative self-talk, and then that negative self-talk goes on so much in your head that you start to believe it. Like it becomes who you are. And that's kind of what that one comment did to you, was that, oh, these people don't like me because I'm fat. Like, oh, I must be fat. I'm unhealthy. I need to be skinny for people to like me. I need to be skinny for love, blah, blah, blah. And
especially
that one comment.
because I'm not going to say who it was, but the one comment, it wasn't like it was someone on the playground or a friend that you thought was a friend, or it was like a family member too, right? So when you look at someone and they're supposed to love you unconditionally and all that stuff, and they're your family. Like when you're little, you look up to everyone like they're superior, like your family's like superior, like your grandparents, your parents, all this stuff. They're like the most superior thing to you, and they like love you, and you take everything they say. Kids literally absorb everything. So when you're standing there in a clothing shop and someone's saying to you that you're fat and you need to go on a diet and all that stuff when you're 8 years old because you have a bit of baby weight on you, your whole life is
You're so impressionable at that time.
I remember just sitting there for the whole weekend and I thought they hated me because they said that. I thought this person hated me, and then it affected my whole relationship with them, my whole relationship with that whole side of the family. I never wanted to go there. I never wanted to see them. I felt like I shouldn't see them because I wasn't worthy enough to see them. I felt like it just changed every single aspect of my whole relationship with them, which is very sad. And it's just crazy how that one thing, I'm sure there's other little things I just don't even remember. There's other little things that hurt it as well. But at the same time, like that was the defining moment.
Yeah. So like for you to be able to identify that, especially from so long ago, identify that and like be able to change, to correct and reframe that mindset, that's what I learned how to do. But it's astonishing that you were able to just do that.
I've just always been a person that's, even though I'm very social and I like to hang out with people and I do have a lot of friends and I like to be around people, I also have always been very independent, and I'm always very self-aware. Even if I don't say it or acknowledge it to people, I know if I'm being annoying, if I'm acting out, if I'm being stupid, if I'm being anything that you're seeing me do, I'm assuming that I've already thought about it because I take everything I say and with caution, and everything I'm doing, I'm always like trying to be aware of it. That's always been kind of like a strength of mine. I obviously have lots of weaknesses like everyone does, but that's one thing that I've always liked that I have that has been strong, is my self-awareness, because I've always been able to be humble about everything that I've done. I think that's why I was able to keep my friends through my really rough time. A lot of people would lose friends and lose the connections and all that. But since I was self-aware, I never took it out on them. I never was rude to them. I always knew it was my issue.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that they were all so willing to stick around. And yeah.
That's awesome. See, I took 2 courses to be able to deal with all of that in like one thing. So for the Thrive program, at the end of the day, I was able to remove all of my limiting beliefs. I'm scared of failure. Failure is like the worst thing. But then I realized I changed my perspective on failure. Oh, it's not something that is possible. Failure is not a possibility because you're always going to get up and continue on. But one of my biggest fears was feeling it wasn't failure. It was the fear of disappointing my family and the fear that I would never amount to anything. And the fear that I would never use my degree in a field that I felt like I needed to work in for some reason. So when I failed, or sorry, I'm going to change that word. When I was unsuccessful in those certain competitions to get those jobs in the field that I thought I was supposed to be in, I felt like I was failing, and I didn't want to disappoint anybody. When I finally got my park warden position, I was super excited, but it was for all the wrong reasons. I was excited because I got my job in my field. But the reason I love my job is because I get to be outside, because I love being outside, and I've never realized that a job outside was a possibility for me.
It's not something when you're young, you're taught really to think of as a career. You're pushed towards like the generic, like 10 different things, and like basically told like, that's it at a young age.
You're never asked, oh, what do you enjoy doing? What makes you happy every day?
It's like, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Do you like science? Do you like art? Do you like literature? You're not taught, like, do you like helping people? Do you like physical activity? Do you like all these big little things? Because those are important things. You could really shape someone's life and teach them about the outdoors and being able to start at the bottom of a mountain and end up at the top by doing this job, right? Being like a guide and stuff like that. People really take for granted people that do unorthodox and different jobs like that.
Because my favorite part of my park warden position is, well, I enjoy keeping the order. I enjoy making sure that people are following the rules. But my favorite is when campers come up to me, ask me about a trail, and I get to tell them, oh, this trail is good for this trail, it's a little muddy, so if you have proper boots, you're okay. And I like to interact with people. I'm a people person. I never realized that because I was shy, in quotes, but I've never been a shy person. I'm just nervous about saying certain things in certain situations.
You're nervous about getting comfortable until you're
So anyway, I'm sorry, people. My stories will always have 5 different tentacles on them.
Tentacles.
Well, I started in this Thrive thing because, okay, we started this podcast. Why does Thrive have to do with that, people? Okay, I started with Thrive. I realized that, oh, I want to be outside. I want to help people. I want to interact with people. Oh, my dream is to have my own guiding service, my own guiding company, where I have my own trails where I can take people and teach them about the land and teach them about camping and all of that stuff. I never realized that was an option. I never realized that was even in my cards, but now I know that I can step past all of my fears and all of my limiting beliefs, and that's my goal. I can see it literally. I can see my house that I'm going to have. I can see the property that I have, and I can see all of the people coming to follow me through the bush, which is what I want. So anyways, I had a 1-to-1 with my cousin Sarah, who was also my coach, and she was asking me all these hard questions, and she says, okay, well, where can you start for your goal to become, to have a guiding service for hiking? Oh, I guess I need an online presence. And then I mentioned, oh, that's funny because Alanah and I, we want to start a podcast. And she says, you are perfect for podcasts. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Thank you. And then our call shifted to, okay, how are you going to get this podcast up and going? What is it about? What do you want people to hear? And I just want people to hear our conversations because they're great and inspiring, and I think that we're meant to be heard. So
meant to be heard.
And that maybe, I think during that call, I texted you and said, we're starting the podcast. Get ready.
Yeah, because the night before or that morning or something, I can't remember when it was, we were talking and I said, this would be a great time to start our podcast. And you're like, yeah, like I agree. Be kind of hard though with me going to Kenora, because you're kind of in denial, I think, that that your job is going to end up not being
I'm like, oh, I'm still leaving. Still leaving on the 30th.
So I was like, okay. And then within a few hours, you messaged me. You said, let's go. Let's finally start it. We've only been talking about it for a year and a half. Let's finally start this.
And I said, because I said to my cousin, oh, we just can't order microphones to start our podcast. And because of everything, and it won't get here in time. And she looked at me and was like, what is that?
Excuse?
Like, yeah. That's an excuse, Morgan. I know people. She said that she knew people who have podcasts. They still don't have mics. Like, we're just using our generic headphones right now. Mics are coming though. Don't worry. But she's like, that's a fucking excuse. And she called me on my bullshit. And that's where it all started. So you're welcome, people, that I was working on my mindset, because now you're blessed with our voices.
Hopefully, or you hate it. You made it this far, so yeah. Obviously you love us and hate us at the same time.
Oh my goodness.
So I wanted to add one thing that maybe you can add into the part where we were talking about failure a few minutes ago. I just wanted to say that I believe that there's one type of failure that actually does exist, and it's the failure to not try, to not start, the failure to just not do something. Right. Because you're scared of failing. I think that is the only failure that really does exist. Because when you think you failed at something, what you've done is you've made a mistake it's a gift, being like, here's what went wrong, try something different. And then if you decide to just stop there, then you've given up the ability to make something great.
Exactly.
We've made mistakes on our first few podcasts, and I've been super cringed out at myself, and I've been thinking, why did I say that? Why did I talk like that? I hate my voice, different things like that. But I've decided to just forget it and post it and just let it be, and just work. We're just going to work on every podcast and just make them better and better and better.
Exactly. And another thing with fear that I skipped over. Oh, fear. We're talking about failure, but okay, fuck it. Just scratch all of that. Scratch it.
Oh. Just cut it. So I kind of want to talk quickly about the thing that I found was destroying all my productiveness and just making my life super difficult in like the past. It's always been a thing I've found. I've gone to bed a little too late, or I just kind of would sleep in a little longer than I wanted to, and then it would create me to not get as much done during the day as I wanted. And it's just like a thing I just could never get fixed. And it was kind of something I always just was like, oh, it's a personality thing. I like to sleep in a little bit. It just, I don't know. I just always kind of just never dealt with it until the past about 6 months or so. I was like, hey, you're 24. You need to be up by like 7:30, 8 a.m. There's so much to do. There's so much to get done. You need to get up earlier, especially because I work at 8:30 in the morning now. So I decided that I wanted to be up at 6 a.m. so I could go to the gym in the morning, because anytime I tried to go to the gym after work, I'd always be too tired or be over it by the time it's 4:30. I'm like, oh, I'm too tired. I have too much stuff to do. I have to go home and cook dinner and do laundry and this and that. So I'll just go tomorrow. I needed to fix that before I could fix any other issue, because I couldn't fix any of my other little things I wanted to work on before I changed my sleeping pattern. So I figured this out on the plane to England. It took me 8 hours of figuring out my few little things I wanted to work on for my New Year's resolution, because it was actually on my way back that I decided this, because I flew back on New Year's Day.
So why were you in England?
I was visiting Neil, my fiance, so everyone should, I guess, know that. I kind of waited to talk about it a little bit because it makes me a little sad to talk about it.
Aww.
So Neil and I have been together for about 3 years, but in February of last year, he had to leave because his work and holiday visa expired. So he left, and we've been making long distance work, which is just a whole other episode, which like I'm not It's just, it's difficult to make long distance work from that far. So I was there for Christmas. So on my way back was when I decided, okay, so I want to work on this stuff. This is the good year for me to work on stuff because it's going to take about another 12 months for him to get permanent residency, because that's what we're applying for. So I was like, what can I do for the next 12 months to make myself a better person? Because we both decided we wanted to work on our own individual things while we had this time. I was like, hey, what is the root of my recent problems? Even if it's a basic thing. And I was like, it's not waking up early enough and going to bed too late. So it took me about 4 days to finally figure out how to get to bed for around 10. I kept having to kind of slowly push myself to go to bed a little earlier. So finally I got to bed at 10, woke up at 6, and I was like, oh, wide awake, went to the gym, loved it. I always loved the gym, but it was just nice to go in the morning, because I used to go in the morning all the time, but it was just harder now because I worked at 8:30, so I had to like wake up even earlier. I just kept doing it and kept going to bed a little earlier to the point where I was waking up at 5 a.m., which was the most ideal time for me to wake up. So if I wake up at 5, I could be at the gym for 5:30, be home for 6:45, shower, get ready, have breakfast, feed the cats, do all the little things I do, and then be at work for 8:15, 8:10, which is even 15, 20 minutes earlier than I'm supposed to be there, so I can get organized and then start my day. And then when I leave at 4:30, I can go home, cook dinner, and not have to worry about any of the other stuff. I can just do my normal stuff and not feel bad. Also, the gym wakes me up in the morning, makes me feel more energized, makes me feel like I've accomplished a million things. It makes you feel like you haven't even gone. By the time you get home, you forgot you even went in the morning. It feels like it was like 90 years ago at that point, which is good, because then you just feel like you've gotten so much more done in your day, and you've been so much more productive. So I definitely realized that that was the root to all my other problems, because the reason why I wasn't getting my laundry done, or the reason why I wasn't hanging out with my friend that I wanted to hang out with, or getting this project done, was because I didn't have enough time, because I wasn't giving myself enough time, because I was sleeping in, or I was pushing it off because I was going to start it too late. And so that was definitely my biggest thing, which then this year has helped change the root of how this year's going. It doesn't help now that the quarantine has messed up my sleeping schedule a bit, because I can't go to the gym in the morning. So now I'm back at waking up at like 8 and then working from home. And then usually on my lunch, I'll do like some crunches and stuff, or at 4:30, I'll then go outside and go for a walk and do things like that. But I think that it'll be easy for me to go back, because I'm in the mindset of doing all that stuff anyways. So
Right.
hopefully, but it'll probably be a bit of a challenge, but I'll have to adapt to it.
Right.
Again.
And I'm kind of nervous to go back to work and get that routine, because I have a good solid morning routine set right now, but I'll just incorporate that into my work schedule, which will be hard for night shifts and stuff like that, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, so that's awesome. I love hearing about where we started with our mindset, and now how we got to where we are now. And like I said, it's not finished. It's not like, oh yay, you reach the end of the mindset.
Oh no,
level.
I feel like
the more
I feel like the more I figure out about myself, and the more that I'm trying to work on, the more I realize that I'm not even close. Like the farther I become from it, because you realize the closer you get to something, you realize how much more ability there is to do even more. So honestly, the things I'm getting done in a day now, it's just increasing. Like I feel like I never actually have a day where everything's done, because there's always something new I could be trying out or doing, like you're this leveling now, because you're always constantly leveling up and leveling up. That's why I always thought one day that my life would be a maid eventually, and I'd have something, and then it would just be done, and that'd be the thing I was aspiring to, that one thing, or that one whatever. And now I'm realizing that doesn't exist. You're never going to be happy because you reach something. There's always going to be more that you want to reach. That doesn't exist. In the movies, they show the ending of the movie, and it's this happy thing, and you're like, oh, it's over, they reached it, yay. But that doesn't actually exist in real life, I don't think. I think that every single time you hit even the biggest thing you could do, like let's say you love to play the guitar and you end up playing for a band, and then you end up playing for a huge band, and you become kind of a little bit famous, let's say. You'd think now that you'd probably be the happiest person ever, and you could never reach anything more than that, but when you're actually in those shoes, I feel like you would be like, hey, what's next? Like, is this it?
Right.
Because you end up constantly wanting to strive for more, even if it's subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't
Yeah.
know. I've never reached to my full goals yet. So we'll see once I actually get there. But,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I find the same thing as you. Like, there's more that you can get done in a day, and your capacity for doing things is greater. And with Thrive, I really realized, because we talk about human design, which we're going to have a whole podcast about. I'm super excited about it. It's pretty much a zodiac for your body. But anyways, so you just need to know yourself to be able to use your abilities to the greatest of your abilities. But so along with Thrive, I also enrolled myself in a emotions course.
Okay.
And it was called Emotions Exposed. And because I've always struggled with emotions, I never liked showing emotions. I've never liked being around emotions. Everything made me uncomfortable. So when this Emotions Exposed course popped up in Sabrina Hayshi's online community, which is called Simply Sensational, which I had been following because of Sarah's mind class or master classes, it popped up and I asked her about it. And it was to teach you how to acknowledge your feelings and kind of dig up any feelings that were buried inside of you. And I was curious about this because, like I said, I haven't had a traumatic life or anything, but I wanted to see if there was any underlying emotions or feelings that I had been burying and bottling up. So I enrolled in this course, and all of these courses, they cost money. I'm investing in myself. I'm investing in my future. I'm investing in my goals with all of these courses, and I'm leveling up. That's every single class in these courses. I feel like I'm becoming better and I'm taking one step up higher towards where I'm going to be. So that's why I like to invest in that. But this One Emotions course, it taught me how my default emotion is anger and frustration. I wasn't an angry person. It's just what my body was more comfortable jumping to in any given situation.
Yeah, no, I've never seen you as angry, moody. Like, we've never even gotten to a fight in our 10 years of a friendship, where I'm not like that either. But I can see what you mean by you just jumping to that in your head. You're angry and frustrated. You might not be showing it, or like, but you're not. It's all in your head, right?
In traffic, somebody cuts, "Fuck you, fucking asshole!" Like, or I stub my toe and I'm like yelling. Or a good example of this is a couple weeks ago, me and Tyler, my boyfriend, had been in quarantine for about a week, and my mom had dropped off a care package, and my family and I are close.
They're adorable. Well,
Yeah,
you guys
like
are all adorable.
of course my mom would drop off a care package, so I appreciate that. I expressed my appreciation, and we brought it in, and then a couple days later my mom had sent some cough medicine in the care package for Tyler because he was coughing and stuff. It was pneumonia. It wasn't COVID. Don't be concerned.
We were concerned, though.
We
Everyone
were,
was
because
concerned for a while.
it
I
was
was
horrible
like, I
timing.
thought I was
But
going to die.
yeah, like we thought he had COVID. It was fine. It turned out okay. But anyway, so my mom sent over this cough medicine, and we were on the phone a couple days later, and I had mentioned, we read the back of the label and it said not to use this cough medicine if you have X, Y, and Z symptoms, which Tyler had. So we asked a nurse and she said not to take it if that's what the label said. And I ended up telling my mom this because, honestly, if you know me, I can't hide anything. I just say things. I just say the stuff that is on my mind. So I told my mom this, and after we got off the phone, Tyler mentioned that I maybe shouldn't have said that. Maybe I made my mom feel bad about this. And initially I got annoyed, I got frustrated, and I was angry. I took out the garbage, storming down the stairs, have my garbage, like going outside. And I was about 2 weeks into my emotions course at this point. I stopped, I physically took a breath, counted to 3, and I dug deep into my emotion. And I realized I wasn't mad, I wasn't frustrated. I was sad. I was sad that I might have made my mom feel bad. So then I came upstairs and I acknowledged it. I accepted that emotion, but then after you do all that, you have to feel it. So I literally just sat down and I started crying. Like I started bawling. And
Oh.
Tyler's like, I'm sorry that I made you cry. I was like, it's not you, it's me, because I'm going to touch on this. Nobody else is responsible for your emotions except for you. Your emotions are how you're reacting to that given situation. And it's nobody else's fault. It's nobody's fault, not even your own. You can't beat yourself up over it. But so I had to feel it and release those emotions. Crying isn't a bad thing. Crying is actually one of the most refreshing and relieving things that you can do for your body, especially if you're feeling these negative emotions.
The way you feel after you cry, it's just like, then you start to smile and you start to laugh and you're like,
Yeah,
oh,
exactly.
okay, like it wasn't that big of a deal.
It's because your whole life you are taught or you perceive that crying and sadness is not okay. Like we're taught not to show our emotions. We're not taught not to feel really in a lot of situations. But after that release of emotions of sadness, I felt so much better and I was able to think clearer about it.
Oh, that's good.
It's stuff like to work through emotions. That's what you need to do. You have to acknowledge it. You have to accept it and then process and feel it. And then it's a process. And I do still jump to anger sometimes, but I have the tools to look back on that situation and say, okay, why was I actually feeling this way? What was I actually feeling? What made me feel this way? And how did it feel in my body? What can I do differently next time so that I can deal with it better?
Well, that's good. Yeah, because I feel like we are different in the way we handle our emotions. I'm not one to really ever cry. I think you probably see me cry 2-3 times in our 10 years. And because they were like big deals, I'm not one to like sit and watch a movie and cry or different things like that. I will cry if I feel like crying. I never push it back. I just feel like sometimes when I'm sad, nothing comes out of my eyes. Just no tears come out. But my point I'm trying to make is that everyone has their own emotional ability, I guess, capability of how they react to it, how available they are to emotions, stuff like that. And I think my whole life I've been very kind of just like, how would you say that? Like I've been very like
linear.
Yeah, like they don't fluctuate up and down. I've never been a very hormonal person. They've always kind of just like stayed flat. It's a good thing, but it's also kind of a curse because then I feel like I never actually feel how I should feel sometimes about things because everyone's getting really excited and I'm excited, but I'm definitely not excited as they are.
Yeah, and like there's emotional people and there's not so emotional people, and that's okay. And for the longest time, I didn't want to be emotional. But I'm a Leo. Like, obviously, I'm going to be emotional. Like, I can't hide that. But I would just express it in negative emotions because I thought that was better.
Okay. See, I express it as hard truths and real. I like to be very realistic and kind of hard love and stuff. So I'm very hard on myself. And if I love people, the people in my life, like they all know this, that I'm not going to sugarcoat something for someone to make them feel better. I will never say something to make someone feel bad. I would never make you feel bad on purpose or anything. But I'm also not going to tell you that you look good in something or that I think you should do something if I honestly don't. I will never smile and say, oh yeah, it's okay if it's not. Yeah. But I will never say it in a way that would make you upset or cry or sad. I hope not, at least.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that's definitely you.
I'm sure I have by accident like said something that crossed the line a little bit at some point to someone or many people, who knows. But I've definitely always try to keep a close eye on saying the right thing and telling people how I actually feel about something, but in the nicest way I can.
Yeah, that's something really awesome that you're able to recognize is how what you say affects other people, but you can't take ownership for that. You can't take ownership for if you say something, like for example, if I say, hey Alanah, how are you? And you're having a bad day and then you get mad, that's not my fault that you reacted that way to whatever I'm saying.
No.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Have I ever done that to you?
No.
Oh,
but
I was like, is this a real example?
No.
But I was like, I didn't think I've ever done that.
You can't,
I get what you're saying.
nobody is responsible for your feelings, and you're not responsible for anybody else's feelings. So
Mm-hmm.
if something or somebody does something to upset you, it's not
Mm-hmm.
them making you mad. It's just how you're personally reacting to that situation or that action.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that was a great conversation. I'm loving where that went. I want to dive deeper into fear, but I want to reiterate the fact that your mindset journey is never done. There's always somewhere that you can improve and work on.
Mm-hmm.
My mindset journey so far has brought me to where I am today, and I'm so excited to see where I get with it. And
Mm-hmm.
in the words of Michael Scott, he'll say it the best: "You have no idea how high I can fly."
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I feel about my life right now. So I'm pretty excited about it.
All I can see
And
right now is Prison Mike.
I know.
When he's like, the worst thing in prison was the Dementors. And then the guy's like, in Harry Potter. And then he goes, no, there's no movies in prison.
The Office.
Oh, it just kills me. I love The Office. I could watch it every day. I love it.
I do. Kind of.
So funny. So funny.
Oh.
Throughout life, I've always struggled figuring out what I wanted to do because every single thing always kind of appealed to me in its own way. I've always been a person, I think, that could do quite a few different things, and they could make me happy, but I haven't fully found the thing that is like life-changing, the thing that could wake up every single day and be super proud to do. And then I realized that I was always pushed towards certain things because I was a smarter kid. From a young age, I was told, you're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a doctor, from multiple family members, everything. So I was like, I'm going to be a doctor. So excited. Could totally be a doctor. Don't want to be a doctor. Found that out after I did a co-op for 6 weeks at a clinic, and I hated it. I liked the interaction with people, the thought of health and helping people that need your help, but I didn't like the prescribing medication and how everything was geared around prescriptions and pills.
Right.
I thought that was the only thing I'd ever be able to do, is just prescribe people medication, which that's all I saw the whole time I was there. Mm-hmm. So then I decided this isn't something I want to do. So then I changed my mind a bit, maybe I'll go on to like preventative health or something like that. So I took biology and didn't like that. I hated it. So I instantly changed it to social welfare. I thought like, okay, I love the thought of helping people. I could help people, work for a charity, something like that. Started it, didn't really like the program at Nipissing at the university I was at, didn't like it at all. So I decided that wasn't for me. If I was going to do that, I have to do it at a different university, but I wasn't ready to move. So I changed it again to political science, thought that that's something I love. And I actually do love political science still, but wasn't the right program at that university for me. They didn't have enough of a program for it, where I found that I dreaded every class. Dreaded it. So I decided to start working full-time and taking courses online part-time instead. So I switched universities. Now I'm taking business, which I do like more. I start my new course in September. I have 2 courses I'm taking in September. But my point is that I still, even though I like the idea of business and I'm working at a financial firm, so I still am not 100%. I'm like, is this the degree I want? Because when I think about the one thing I absolutely love more than anything is talking. Mm-hmm. I love communicating. I love asking people questions. How many times when we talk do I ask you a million questions to get the full picture of something?
Exactly. Yes.
Right? That's all I do. I want to know every single question of everything. I just love knowing and talking to people about what's going on. So that's why right now the communication is like the thing I thrive off of the most. Mm-hmm. I just love talking about everything. I love telling people what's going on. I love enlightening people and talking to people about what's going on in the news, what's going on in their lives, what's going on in my life. I love stories. I love all that stuff. So it's really hard for me to understand how I want to go with this. Like, I think this podcast is the perfect thing for me right now and for us, because it gives me that platform to just talk and kind of figure out what things I want to talk about the most. That's why you're going to see within this podcast where like there's going to be some more serious ones like this where we talk about like actual hardships and things and mindset and different helpful things we hope will help people. But then there's also going to be podcasts that are just hilarious and comical and talking about things that are going on. And there's going to be lots of different stuff as we try to figure out what kind of a path we want to pave with this podcast. But this is also helping me figure out what I want this to go with, like what way I want this to go for me, because I'm still at 24 trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. Even though I have some ideas and I've pushed a lot of things that I thought I wanted to do away, I still haven't exactly found that thing where it makes me wake up every morning excited besides this podcast right now. Mm-hmm. So, and it's been a long time since I found something that like got me out of bed in the morning to like really be excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree with that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And
mm-hmm.
a lot of the time, that thing that you are meant to do is hiding just on the other side of that fear, or that little voice inside your head that's saying you're not good enough to do this, you can't do this. How is that?
Yeah.
Like, you're not worthy, but you are worthy of doing whatever the fuck you want to do. You create your own path, and if that path is barreling right through that little voice in your head that's saying you can't do this, you can't do this, like, honestly, fuck that little voice.
Well, we only have one life. I think when people say YOLO and stuff, it's like a joke. It is. But when you actually take a step back to think about it, we have one chance at everything. Or no, there may be reincarnation. Who knows? I don't know what goes on after this. No one does. But we have one, from what we know, one shot at this.
Yeah.
So I've just thought, it took me a little while to realize I just want to throw everything at something and see what happens. Because if I just keep waiting to figure out what inspires me, it's not going to happen. Because I feel like I'm the kind of person that I'm not going to be inspired by something until I put my full heart and soul in it and see what happens. Because I think my happiness depends, and like what I love to do depends on what I'm doing and something I create. I think I'm a very creative person and a creator, but I never thought that was a possibility because that wasn't something that you're told like it's a possibility when you're younger. Exactly. So I just never thought of it. I was like, well, I have to pick between like law or like doctor or like nurse or like typical things like that. But
exactly,
it just wasn't a path I don't think I was meant to take. And it just taken me so long to just be like, okay, let's create something. Maybe that will bring you happiness. Let's create something that's your own and let's see where that takes you. So I love listening to people. So this is the perfect outlet for me because we're eventually going to start collaborating with people, friends, people, experts on things, and asking them lots of questions. And I think that's going to really shine for me because I love asking people questions and listening and criticizing and getting input and learning from that. I just love that.
Yeah, so. You're good at asking questions. I love like listening and absorbing what people have to say. I'm obsessed with taking notes. I take notes for our own podcast that I already have notes for.
And lists.
Yes. You can't see me, but I'm fist pumping because I love lists.
So I remember, this is a funny story. Morgan and I were throwing a surprise birthday party for a friend. And Morgan said, we got to make a list. So I was like, obviously, yeah, no problem. My version of a list is maybe a few things I have to get at the grocery store or some notes in my phone. No, not Morgan. Morgan gets out a whole notepad, makes about 3 pages worth of notes, every single thing we need to buy, every this and that. And it was so funny. So we get to the day of the party. We drive up. We get there. Morgan's all prepared. She's been stressing for hours. I get there at the house. And she's packed more things that we didn't even put on the list she's added that I didn't even realize you needed for a surprise birthday party of like 8 people. I had no idea you needed this. So we get there and it's about 30 minutes before our friend's supposed to arrive. And Morgan looks at me and I look at her and I said, Morgan, you forgot the watermelon. And the point of the watermelon was it was the main display of the table. It was made, we get carved it out and then froze the watermelon into like a alcoholic beverage. And then we're going to put it back into the watermelon. So we brought the beverage part of it, like the frozen watermelon slushy, but we didn't bring the watermelon and we didn't have a bowl or anything to put it in. So Morgan looks at me and without even a word, she's gone. She's driving. She's going 100 kilometers an hour.
I feel like I teleported from in front of you to my vehicle.
And my point that I wanted to make was that when she talked earlier about how stressed she was and how negative and how, like, I can see her the whole drive back then saying, I hate this. I can't believe I've done this. Why did I do this? I'm so stupid. I can't believe I've done this. Like, this is the worst. I
Fuck
hate this.
everything.
Just everything, because she was just so in her head about things like that. It just stressed her out so much. But
Oh,
even though you still love lists and organization, which I love, I can tell that you're way more composed now, and you're able to kind of deal with the stress a little more. If you forgot something, I think you'd be like, this sucks, but it's okay.
yeah, exactly. And
Instead of driving 100 kilometers an hour for a
down
watermelon.
a 30-kilometer road. But that's the best thing to say. And you might think that you're going to grow out of it, but I'm telling you that you won't grow out of it until you take those steps to push yourself out of that.
Oh yeah, like they say about addicts and things like that, like you will not change unless you want to. So you have to take the second to think, is this something I really want to change? Because it's going to take time and effort. Okay, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't just magically happen.
And like, that's going to be outside of your comfort zone, but your next level is just outside of your comfort zone. And I know I sound like, so I don't even know like what I would sound like, but that's what I'm saying. That's my inspirational quote of the day. Your next level is just on the other side of your comfort zone. You just have to take that step.
The problem is, I think it's just doing it that one time, just starting. That's the hardest part, is always just starting.
Exactly.
But the whole anticipation when you're starting something new, or you're starting something that you're uncomfortable with, is the worst. But you got to keep in mind, and I'm not saying I've achieved this in any way. I still feel like this. And I'm like, don't look up to me on this.
And that won't go away.
It won't go away, but it will get
accept it.
That, and I think it will get better and better over time. Like even professional singers, I'm pretty sure, still get really nervous before a show. Yeah. They just realize they still got to get on that stage, and then once they're on that stage and once they get off, they're like, okay, done. It's perfect. That went well. It was fine.
Yeah. So one thing that I'm going to say about that is that's a fear. That's a limiting belief. Like that's something that your body has determined doing this will endanger my ego or my emotions. So your body reacts the same way that it would react if a big grizzly bear is standing in front of you. A psychological and a physiological fear, when it's presented to you, your body reacts in the same way. Fear is your body trying to preserve its body, right? So your fear is just trying to protect you, and
which is a good thing.
You can't blame it, but you need to be able to tame it. You got to figure out how to walk with the fear, because it's just to protect you. You have to thank it for trying to protect you.
Well, it's a biological thing that we're always going to have no matter what. Well, new thing, anything that's scary or something. Yeah.
Well, I'm 25 and I'm still scared of the dark. Like, you know that
I love the dark.
You know that feeling that you get in your back when you were a kid and you shut off the light and you ran up the stairs? I get that 24/7 with the dark. I'm a security guard. Like.
Thank you guys for listening in. Please let us know what we did and what resonated with you from our discussion in the comments below. If you like what you heard, please leave us a 5-star and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We post new episodes every Wednesday.
Screenshot this episode and post it as your story. Tag us and tag a friend. We would really appreciate it.
Stay safe, stay healthy, and please adhere to social distancing by staying at home.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.